Hi everyone, McBeard here, back with another review video. We got a bunch of new Scoia'Tael cards from the Master Mirror expansion, which is coming out on June 30th. And I wanted to talk to you about these new cards, and this is a YouTube exclusive. I didn't stream this. I'm doing this right now. So it's been a while since I've done actually an offline recording, so it feels weird. I'm scared and alone. All right, right off the top, we got to see the final evolving card in the set, and it is Scoia'Tael's card, Ethne. So in this situation, we get to see Ethne as a young queen, and then a mother, and then finally as a Wrath of Broccolon. Sure, yeah. I mean, it works this way. This is probably the longest evolving card name, but I think that this is some really great art. Specifically, I mean, I really like the premium of this. During the YouTube video, you can hear the scream of the premium as well. It just looked great. And of course, people are saying that she really, really looks like Emilia Clarke in this particular artwork. And I see it. I see it. I see it. I see the whole thing. All right. But talking about the actual card, this evolving card, I feel, is a very strong card because it really embodies everything that the expansion is trying to do right away. Right from the very, very start, we got to see and understand the young Dryad and symbiosis, I believe. And I also got to see oak critters. But it really kind of all comes together at the end here now as we see the last block of reveals before the final block of reveals, which will happen for Gwent open weekend. So let's talk about these ones here. So Ethne finally coming in here, just like the other evolving cards, she is 11 provisions, and she is 6 strength, and she requires devotion to achieve her third form, which occurs in round 3. But Scoia'Tael is playing Harmony all the time anyway. They don't like neutral cards, they don't proc Harmony, so why play them? To the point where they don't run Bomb Heavers either. They don't even care. They're just really, really strong, and they're very happy within their own faction. So Devotion is likely going to be played on purpose or not with Ethne, and all of the Devotion cards for Scoia'Tael will likely be very strong for the reason of Scoia'Tael just loving their own faction. And I believe Syndicate will feel that same privilege. But let's talk about the card. So 11 provision, 6 strength, on deploy, spawn a young Dryad. And if you need a reminder, a young Dryad is a 2 strength token with symbiosis. And if you need a reminder for that, we'll just get this up here. So young Dryad is the token here with symbiosis, and doomed, of course, because she doesn't go to the graveyard. She's banished at the end of the round. But symbiosis is the new keyword here, meaning that every time you cast a nature spell, you spawn a wandering treant equal to the amount of units you have with symbiosis. And here is the wandering treant here, and it of course grows higher and higher based on the amount of symbiosis units. So this is especially clear with the cards we get to talk about today. So Ethne as a young queen, she spawns 1. As a mother in round 2, she spawns 2. And if you're running Devotion in round 3, not only does she spawn 2 young Dryads, but she herself has symbiosis and also Veil, which means she cannot be locked or afflicted with any status effects. So that means that when you play Ethne, Wrath of Broccolon, and you play the 3 symbiosis units, all future nature spells come with a 3-point treant body along with it together. And it goes back to what I said before. Ethne really represents everything happening in the expansion because she's an evolving card. She has the new keyword Veil. She has the new keyword Symbiosis, which means that she is involved with 2 of the tokens that are also created for this expansion. And I think as we go into the other cards that support symbiosis right here, the Danka Guardian, she has Veil and symbiosis as well. Plus, she damages an enemy unit by 2 when you play her, which is specifically good because there are a number of new Deathblow cards that have been added to Scoia'Tael as well. So you set up the Danka Guardian very happily as a proactive play. Well, not really that proactive because you do need to hit something, but as an early round play. And then the symbiosis, you benefit by spawning a whole bunch of extra trees every time you cast a nature spell. Very similar to Erika's Queen's passive. Every time you play an organic card, you spawn a drone. So it just gets better and better the more you play into symbiosis. So I really like that the more and more you stack up the board, the more and more threatening your drones become. And it's all wrapped up. Scoia'Tael set really seems cohesive the more we see. And I gotta say, I like a lot of the Northern Realms cards, but when I see even the 4-point cards like Abandoned Girl have so much flavor and ability, and the faction cares about it so much, you're playing a human, and then you're removing a human from the board, And then you're adding a new effect in a Dryad, and now you have a Dryad on the board. And so it procs Harmony, and it transforms into this new thing, and it does this new thing. And there's so much imagination and design and flavor, too. The lore, it's quite good in this card alone. I really feel like Northern Realms could have used a card as interesting as this, but not every faction got this touch. Maybe it's just a testament to how cool this card seems to me. It's not even about the playability. It's just you can have a discussion about this card. Really, you can have a discussion about this card. But I really think that it all ties together. The faction seems very supported here, with Ethne being 3 symbiosis units, the Untitled Guardian being a nice symbiosis unit that also helps set up some of your death blows, perhaps, and also having the Abandoned Girl, which starts off as a 4-strength young Dryad. Which is important. Also, I think it's really cool that the Abandoned Girl artwork, she is kind of in the fetal position facing forward with her back against the tree. And then in the doomed young Dryad artwork, she also has her knees up, but she is in a much more relaxed state with her back towards the player. I think it's just a really interesting juxtaposition. I think that the art team, just as always with all of these artworks, even the simple stuff, is really, really cool. And there's some stuff you can notice on a lot of these artworks as well. By the way, what's your Gaunter O'Dim count at this point? I'm pretty sure he's in 4 card artworks right now, being specifically Usurper Officer. Here, very much hard to miss. He's also present in Jacques Miraculous Child, as these are his boots. And the dolls that he's playing with, Jack's dolls, are in the logo of Master Mirror, I had noticed. You can see him in the background of the Carrack Marine. He is here on the cruise ship. And he's actually also present here with Smuggle in the back here in the corner, looking as this, as the Fistek is pulled out of this corpse. What great flavor. So something in every faction, perhaps. And I also noticed, we haven't talked about it yet, but here in the Circle of Life, we'll talk about this card in just a second, but the corpse here represented in Circle of Life is actually in the background of Oak Critters. So the finger that the Oak Critters are holding actually belongs to the corpse here, just in the shadows. You can look it up later. But anyway, like I'm saying, there's a lot of cool art Easter eggs. Is that why you're here? To hear me talk about this? Maybe not, but I will. Also, you can see the Dryad coming to get the Abandoned Girl. As the story goes, Abandoned Girls are left in the Forest of Broccolon. Dryads come and get them. They drink the water of Broccolon, and they become young Dryads, or the Dryad fledglings as well. So lots of great Dryad lore has been added to the game ever since Crimson Curse, and now we have just a very, very rich archetype at this point. So going back to Circle of Life. So Circle of Life was another card that was revealed the other day. Circle of Life is an awesome card where you are damaging an enemy unit by 3, and then you boost a random Scoia'Tael unit in your hand by 2, but on Death Blow, you can choose the unit that you're boosting. So this works very well, like I said, with the Untitled Guardian, because it's more likely that you're going to trigger this Death Blow and actually be able to focus on Handbuff. Handbuff is getting some real synergy here, not just with Circle of Life, but also with another card we'll be talking about. And Handbuff already has a couple of things like the Hawker Smuggler that have already been working for it, and other things like Dwarven Agitator, which doesn't see a lot of play, and the Dryad Saboteur, which is also not seeing a lot of play. But these are still a lot of things that are present in Scoia'Tael already. And it makes for some very, very strong plays involving carryover. So hopefully this is much more fun than it is oppressive, because Scoia'Tael has a habit of finding ways to be really, really strong. But it's interesting because the Echo card for Scoia'Tael is just, I'm all over the place, guys. But the Echo card for Scoia'Tael turns out to be probably the least impressive one, but I think that this is probably fine because Scoia'Tael has been playing cards twice since the dawn of time. But we can talk about Shaping Nature as well here. So Shaping Nature, I believe Pumpkin revealed this one. It's a very flexible card that boosts a unit 3 different ways. You can either boost it by 6 and give it Veil, so it can't be locked or afflicted by any future statuses. You can boost it by 8, straight up, or you can boost it by 5 and give it Vitality 5, which means that you are kind of saying, in a long enough round, I'm getting the most value. So you either get the immediate value or the long value. You get to choose whatever you want, and you get to do this twice in a game. And it's a little bit cheaper than the other Echo cards, but you could say that the value that it offers is likely less than most because it's not tutoring in this case, and it is probably it's less value because you're putting all this value on a unit as opposed to bringing another unit onto the board. But I really do think it's fine because it is a nature card, and because it's a nature card, you're going to play twice, you're going to proc Symbiosis twice, and by playing one of your nature cards, this card, earlier in the game, you're not expending your ammunition. You know you're going to get this one back in your hand later. So if you needed, if you have a long round in which you are focusing on a volley of nature cards, this is something you can still open up with and use, and then use it later in decisive rounds. So I do think it actually has a lot of great synergy with the faction, but on the power scale, the Echo cards for the other factions look like they're going to do a lot more. But again, I don't really think that this card deserves to be criticized for being what it is, very specifically for all the reasons that I said. Scoia'Tael didn't need something insane that they can play twice because they've been doing that for a long time. And that brings us to the last card that I wanted to talk about today, and that's Danka. So this card is maybe, along with, well, it maybe just is the best patience card. So Danka here is a 7 provision, 4 strength unit with 1 armor with Veil that reads, with also Zeal as well, on order, damage an enemy unit by 3. And at the end of your turn, if the order is not used, boost a random Scoia'Tael unit in your hand by 1. So this is pretty interesting. And it's also worded in an interesting way as well. So the units that have Veil on them that are targets of muzzle, I believe will not get locked when you steal them, which makes muzzle probably a really good card in the meta. However, if you're not playing Scoia'Tael, unlike something like Egmond or any of the other veiled units that have patience on them, this unit doesn't benefit you if you're not playing Scoia'Tael. So I think that the wording is very interesting here, and the wording is not used like this, I believe, in a restrictive way. So this unit, so again, Scoia'Tael gets a kind of a benefit against its best counter because Scoia'Tael's going to love playing this card and isn't going to be weak to muzzle in the same way that the other veiled engines are going to be weak. So keep that in mind when you're choosing to play these units. It's also, these units were already weak to Thunder, right? So, it's not like it's revolutionary, but... So Hawker Smuggler sees play right now, even though it can be moved to be disabled, locked, and easily destroyed, and it's a very slow play to begin with. It is a human, so that's great for Harmony, but if you're playing it later after Harmony, you're getting less value out of it. So the biggest weaknesses of the Hawker Smuggler, which is competitive, is solved. Danka can't be locked. If you move Danka, you still end up getting the ability that is provided here. You must thunder her down. You got to bolt this lady. So I think that this is a really strong card. Scoia'Tael got a really good one when it comes to these patience cards. And I think that as this is all coming together, looking at hand boost, that seems like it's going to get a fair amount of support. And I think that Symbiosis is going to be a really cool ability. I don't think that either of these abilities are going to be as strong as Harmony is right now. If anything has the possibility of being that strong, it's probably going to be the hand boost. But there's a lot of Harmony units. Like look at Sarissa, who was released over a year ago in Crimson Curse. She's a Harmony unit that actually has a death blow effect that also boosts a unit in your hand. So I think that she might actually find a place in here if there's more stuff that cares about Dryads, or kind of that full-on support of Dryads. And there are some units in the game that care about how many Dryads you have. So I think that there's a lot of deck building possibilities, and while you're getting a lot of really great possibilities for the existing archetypes of Scoia'Tael, Symbiosis does represent a lot of stuff that you would have to really switch your deck around. So Scoia'Tael's getting a lot of really cool cards. I think that the set's really cohesive so far, and just some good stuff as well. And at least that the Echo card does not look like it's going to put Scoia'Tael head and shoulders above everybody else by any means. But still represents a lot of possibilities in the new set. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think that this stuff looks really good, and we only have one more block left to talk about. You can catch me at Gwent Open. If it's Saturday or Sunday, we started at 10 o'clock a.m. CEST at twitch.tv/CDProjectRed, 4 p.m. CEST as well. And if you're watching this after the tournament, I hope you enjoyed the tournament. And if you're watching this after the expansion is released, what are you doing watching this? Play it. It's after June 30th then, and we're probably making decks as we speak. Thanks for watching, my friends. Like and subscribe if you want to see daily Gwent content as we go into Master Mirror, and I'll see you next time.